first sailing adventure.
In February 2019, 6 foiling F-50 catamarans took to the water in Sydney to open the first ever season of SailGP.
Let's go.
Their aim? To redefine sailing.
Not on day one, boys.
6 national teams of world-class athletes, all racing towards $1 million prize.
Great job.
7 months later, after some truly epic battles around the world.
Beautiful start.
Here we go, boys. We're good, we're good. Be ugly.
And it all comes down to this.
Still plenty to play for here.
The chance for one team to become a part of history
Let's just go win a race.
and be the first to have their names engraved on the SailGP Championship trophy.
You can never relax.
Oh, it's very close to contact.
Welcome to Marseille.
It doesn't get any more extreme than that.
Welcome to the grand final. And our 2 teams for the championship final race are now confirmed. And you can see the 2 skippers as they arrived in the race village this morning. Tom Slingsby of Australia and Nathan Outridge of Japan. They're about to go toe-to-toe in the richest race in sailing. And we're joined by both skippers now in the studio. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in. I know this probably isn't the way you would have wanted to prepare for the race, but the nerves are starting to run a little bit higher.
I don't know, Tom, have you got any nerves you're going to tell me about?
I feel good. Really happy.
Okay, so we're doing it like this. There's still the steely facade. It feels this week, Nate, like you've been the aggressor, which hasn't been your traditional role.
Yeah, well, Tom's been saying all season I'm not so aggressive, so we thought we'd have a little go at it. Didn't really work very well for us, so we might have to flip back to our old ways and just sail the race and not worry about him too much.
Far from a dream start for you this week, Tom, but it feels like you need to overcome some adversity to get the best out of yourself.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Yeah, obviously we had a lot of people sick in our team, and each day people have been getting better, and each day it feels like we're sailing better. So, yeah, we're ready to go today. Everyone's healthy and looking forward to it.
I know that it's very easy to control your own strengths and weaknesses and identify those, but a lot of people say one of the biggest gifts is being able to understand those in your opponent. How would you describe Tom? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses that you can exploit?
I don't think this is the place to discuss that, to be honest. I think we're going to tell him all about it tonight.
Okay. I'm guessing you're going to go the same way here, Tom.
Yeah, I can't tell you anything I know about him. In all honesty, it doesn't really matter. It's just who's going to perform, like who's not going to let the pressure get to them, who's going to win when the time comes, who's going to make that crucial decision and get that win.
Have you felt the pressure building this week, though? Because this is unlike anything else in the sailing world in the sense that you've got this huge prize dangling at the end of a single race.
I think, the pressure, everyone knows it's developing. I think everyone in our team is prepared for it. We've been talking about today all season long and preparing for today. And I think the hardest thing that we're going to face today is how unpredictable this weather's going to be. Had we been in San Francisco with a big race course with stable wind, we could develop a game plan for the pre-start and for around the track. What we've seen so far here in Marseille with the offshore breeze is that it is all over the show. You can only plan, a little bit in advance. So for me personally, that takes a bit of pressure off because it means that you're more seat of the pants sailing and everything we're planning for right now could just get thrown out the window. So we don't feel any pressure right now, but I can guarantee you in that pre-start, the pressure will be on both teams to try and make that right decision.
Tom, you won the overall accumulation of points in the championship leaderboard. It means you get the choice on which side you want to enter the start box. How important is that decision?
It depends on the race course. In some areas, some different courses, it's really important. In some, it's not as important. The way it's looking like today and what we're seeing in the diagrams, it's not going to be as important today with a very small box. The bigger the box, the more you can actually do your time on distance and get your routine. When it's a small box, you have a lot of time to kill. So in this venue, it's not going to be as important, which isn't great, but I'm still glad that we have the decision and not Team Japan.
Okay, and which side do you think you'll choose? Do you know? Do you have it in your mind?
Yeah, I know which side we're going to choose.
Well, come on, tell us then.
No,
We've been waiting all year for this.
You'll find out when we enter.
Okay.
So we'll just go to the opposite end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to let you both retire to your boats. I wish you both the best of luck. It's been a fantastic season so far. Hopefully the championship final race will deliver.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks very much. Cheers.
So ahead of the last day of racing this season on SailGP, this is what the overall championship leaderboard looks like. Australia and Japan, our very own Ferrari and Mercedes out in front. But some fascinating battles developing between China and Great Britain for third and the United States and France trying to avoid the wooden spoon. This is the schedule for the day. We've got 2 fleet races for those bottom 4 ranked teams, China, Great Britain, France and the USA, and then that big toe-to-toe matchup between Outridge and Slingsby at 3:30. And there's been a huge groundswell of support building around the world for each of the teams. And we saw the Sydney fans who are watching late at night in Australia. Hello to everyone there in Sydney. And we've got a special message from a Formula One driver for the Australian team.
Hi guys, Mark Webber here. I just want to wish Tom and all the Australian team all the best for making the championship final race in SailGP there in Marseille. All the Aussies are behind you. Give it everything. No regrets. Push hard as you can. I know it's a brutal sport. Timing's everything, but we're right behind you. So I know there's another Aussie in the Japanese boat, but we won't worry about that. Get the job done, guys. All the best.
Okay, let's head back out onto the water for the first of our fleet races. Your commentators are the double Olympic gold medalist Shirley Robertson and a man who many say was raised by pirates, Jody Shields.
Let's expect the unexpected.
It's going to be game on here.
Nice day, lads. Really good day.
It is not over yet. This race is definitely still on. Well, welcome to the final day here in Marseille for the 2019 SailGP Grand Final. Now let's take a look at the course map for today's fleet races. They start on a reach, they head down to the bottom gate, they go back up to the top, then back down the bottom again, they go back up to the top, and then into the finish right in front of the crowd on the break wall.
If you're a sailing fan, this is unmissable. What a day the crowds in Marseille are in for. It's light at the top of the course, but generally foiling conditions up to 10 knots. But once again, the breeze is blowing from the city, so expect anything to happen. Plenty of jeopardy for us on the racetrack and lots for the crowd here in Marseille to watch.
Now here are the teams for today's fleet races. First up, it's the French. Skipper Billy Besson has the dubious honour of being the only team that has not won a fleet race this season. They are currently last on the leaderboard, and they will be desperate to turn both of these around in front of their home crowd.
They arrived in France in third spot on the leaderboard, but gear failure and underperformance has left a deflated American team fighting France to avoid the wooden spoon.
110. Almost racing, I agree with you, Jay.
Next up, it's the British team, skippered by Dylan Fletcher, who has had a season of highs and lows from winning their first race in San Francisco, then being the first team to hit 50 knots in training, to then being the first team to capsize in an F50. Consistency hasn't been their strong point this season.
Well, this team for sure has momentum. Firmly last after the New York event, now defending that podium spot. Their skipper Phil Robertson, best known as a match racer, and we can expect moments of full-on head-to-head engagement. It could be fun, Jody.
Welcome to the final day, Shirley. It is finally upon us, the day we have all been waiting for since the first race in Sydney. And look at the breeze. It is very, very light indeed. With 20 seconds to go, the boats are very close to the start line.
So light at the top of the course here. Better as we go down, and so hard to get your time and distance on this.
So China, Phil Robertson, the world match racing champion, he's in for the podium. He's got a chance. He's trying to be the aggressor here. He's pushing the boats up. As you can see, USA is just above him, and they are slowly going over the start line. We're not quite sure where the Great British team is at this start. So there's only 4 boats. We need to emphasise that. The Australians and the Japanese don't have to race this fleet racing. They are currently out on the course doing a little bit of training and getting ready for the big grand final race. but these boats are still waiting for a final position. So it's between China and the USA at this stage, only doing 10 knots, Shirley. Very light underneath this breakwall.
Well, it would be good to see what happens to Great Britain, Jodie. I mean, we heard on the onboard comms, Phil Robertson, the world match race champion, said, let's take it to the Brits. So I suspect there was a little bit of argy-bargy before the start.
They're just desperately trying to get up and fall in there as the USA, but it is very light out there indeed.
Trying to pop. Maybe, yes, trying to pop. No dip.
They've got the big boards on today, the small rudders. They need about 15 knots of boat speed in order to pop. We can hear them say that on board. And there they go. It's amazing, isn't it, Jodie? Hardly any wind. And these boats are flying.
They are so efficient. It is unbelievable. And they're up and going. And they're already doing 23 knots in around about 8 knots, like you said. We still haven't seen where the British boat is. So for any, there they are, right on cue. They've finally decided to join the party with the rest of the 3 boats, so they've obviously had a bit of a shocker at that start. Not exactly sure what's happened there, but the race is on here between USA. Rome Kirby hasn't had the best weekends at all. Shirley, he was a chance of getting into the final. Slim may it be. Now he's duking it out for the final, like to get away from the wooden spoon position.
Go, Rome. I'm trying. Roll it, Pete. Set it down. Yep. Straight into a pop. Yep. 2, 1, and popping. Big trim.
Yeah, Rome Kirby had a bit of gear failure early on and just never ever found his groove. But good to see him out on the front of the pack today.
And none of these skippers, as competitive as they are, not one skipper in this fleet wants to get that final position in the fleet after season 1, because it's a long off season to wear that. And the USA are certainly doing the best job to keep that title away from them, because they're coming into the bottom gate for the first time. 25 knots of boat speed and about 8 knots of breeze. Not many boats in the world can do that, Shirley.
Dude, pressing up. We're good. A max trim. Yeah.
And it looks like it's pretty much a one-way course at this stage, Shirley. The breeze looks like it might have gone a fairly bit hard right with the height that these boats are coming out of that bottom gate.
Oh, the Americans just lost a massive amount of pace.
We're only seeing about 6 knots of boats wind speed on the water off these boats. So very, very light at this stage.
Weight down, Mac.
British coming back in.
I would not write Dylan Fletcher and his British team off. You know, in all the practice racing and all the conditions, they have been very fluid, very fast, good manoeuvring. And yeah, I would be wary of them.
It was an interesting when you said manoeuvring. They just did a real late-minute decision to bail out and go to that right-hand gate. So maybe they're seeing the rest of the fleet is parked up in a big hole, so they want to go to the other side of the course and maybe go right around the rest of this fleet. So we'll soon see how that unfolds. China looking like they're probably the first one to disappear away from the hole. Poor old Rome Kirby in the USA. His weekend of despair is continuing. He's just got into a hole and he needs to get out of it.
I just think, Jodie, they don't mode very well, and the conditions here are ever changing, and you need like a really experienced team, and I think they just don't really make those transitions terribly well.
You can see there the Aussies are just parked off the side of the course. They're getting themselves geared up for this big grand final, which we're all waiting for. We cannot wait for Japan versus Australia, but we still have to find out who is going to make the podium, and that's exactly what we're doing right here. Phil Robertson, he's had a good weekend so far, Shirley. They weren't going to race yesterday. They were sick. They were literally 5 minutes away from being pulled out of the water, and they dug deep to get that boat in, took their first win for the season, and they've just turned it around. So good on them.
I think they've been a real different team here. They have a new coach, Ben Durham, America's Cup veteran. And he's steadied it all down. The boat seems, I don't know, it seems lighter. And whenever we go to the onboards, they're laughing and joking. And there's a real kind of team spirit, a camaraderie that we haven't necessarily seen before. And we're seeing that now on the racetrack.
And you can see here the British have definitely caught up from going to that right-hand gate at the bottom. And they've just taken the stern of Rome Kirby in the USA, who are still struggling to get up on the foils. So have a look at how light it is over where China and France are. So The British, if they can come over here and link into a bit of pressure, they could just steal the lead from nothing.
Just trying to look for which ones are windward. There's so many marks around. Over there, mate. Those ones, copy. Little press here.
This could be interesting if conditions are like this for the grand final match, Shirley. We could have snakes and ladders everywhere.
The British are doing really well, linking that pressure together. I mean, they look like they've got an engine compared to everybody else. They're doing really well. Great boat speed.
The French now and the Chinese just getting a little bit of a left-hander at the top of the course, which has taken them up to the gate. So that may hurt the British coming in from the right. Looks like the breeze, they might have just fallen out of that. They're slowly, as you can see, they can't foil. So it's only literally one hull up.
Well, out on the water, we have Lisa Darmanin, silver medalist from Rio. Lisa, what can you see?
He's a little...
It seems pretty hard to link that pressure together. Well, thanks, Lisa.
And the big news, what we're at Lisa then, is the French team are leading this race. So they're coming around, they've gone to the left-hand gate and they're going back in towards the city, which is quite interesting because that's where the big left-hander was with this team coming in. China went over to the out to the sea, and you can see there they've stopped. So can the French, which have just popped it into the screen now, stay into this wind and take themselves down? Remember, they're the only team, Shirley, that haven't won a race at all this season. So to win this in your hometown, imagine the celebration. It would be absolutely amazing for them.
Look.
I'm not sure what the Chinese can do in this situation, Jody. All three blokes flying round the outside.
Looks pretty relaxed there. He's up and going now is the Chinese, so that time would have stood still for Phil Robertson and his crew to wait for that wind to come. And now he comes to cross. Looks like France are doing quite well. They're doing a big angle across the course, which means it's very light. As Lisa said, they've got to bleed some miles to keep up on the foils. But they're still in front, only just. It's the French. Looks like both boats still have to do multiple jibes at this stage to get down to the bottom. They're doing big angles. Normally you see them heading straight down towards the gate.
It's like a pinball machine, Jody. They're bouncing off those boundaries.
I love it.
Okay, Max Babili.
He looks pretty cool there, Billy. He's eyeing it off. You see here Billy Besson just looking down there to see how the gate is, to try and get his angle right, and to know when he's going to drive. Have a go at his heart rate, Shirley.
We've just heard from race management. They will finish this race at the leeward gate. Can Billy Besson keep it together and claim his first victory?
He has just fallen into a hole right at the most inappropriate time. Billy Besson, blow in your wings, do whatever you can, get that boat up and going. We want to see the French get a bit of breeze. I'm not sure what French is, but I reckon that is saying, where's the wind, where's the wind, where's the wind?
H1.
So here we are, the French. They're not that far away now. It's literally, can they drift over the line here, Shirley? They've got 20 metres to go. China is coming back in a hurry. He's doing 5 times his boat speed. Shirley, can they do it?
Keep it down, keep it down.
I can't watch, Jody.
We have to watch, we have to watch. Here they go, the French. Have they got it? Yes, they have. They've finally won a race on home quarters. Well done, Billy. That's amazing.
And that's a great cheer from the crowd. They were wishing him over that line.
I think everybody was wishing him over the line. We're all pushing towards him to say, get over the line. And look at the ecstatic. That's great. That is unbelievable on your home waters. He might owe the race control a little bit of a nice red wine after that one for finishing it down there. But good on them. Well done. That's amazing.
Second for Phil Robertson in China, putting them in that third spot. That rivalry between Nathan Outteridge and Tom Slingsby goes back to they were 7 years old.
You want us to have a little fisticuff or something like that to really make a rivalry.
25 years they've been racing against each other.
It's quite funny, the whole chat about the rivalry, isn't it, Tom?
It is funny. I don't think we need any cameras around to want to kick each other's in any type of boat. And it doesn't matter if it's practice. If I lose a race to him, I'm off. And if I come in from a little practice day and I beat him 2-1 that day, I'm walking around happy.
Yeah, you know it and I know it too.
Yeah.
The colours of this inaugural SailGP in Sydney are green and gold.
All I remember is Tom just giving us a complete dusting.
For all the talent on board the Japanese boat, they have been comfortably beaten.
I'm glad we've been able to bridge the gap a little bit this year.
Japan is holding up Australia. Australia has put the bow in massive.
I think the rivalry between us and Japan really escalated in San Francisco.
Oh, it's very close to contact.
Yeah, I think that kind of shows how aggressive we're starting to get towards each other.
That had to be so close.
I wouldn't say it's a complete game of chicken. You know, there's pretty...
I feel like it is. From then on, I said, I'm going to push him even harder next one, and that's the way it played out in the match race.
Calm as a isn't it?
Yeah.
We are watching a masterclass in how to sail your F50.
It was just nice to see the team get rewarded for their hard work. You know, it was such a crazy venue and required such adaptive kind of sailing, so everyone was just really satisfied.
Just look at the joy on their face.
What made me even more proud with the team is that everyone knew that it wasn't over yet, and you know there was 2 more events to come, and the focus shifted forward very quickly from that.
Oh, we've got a broken pedestal here on Japan.
I think it just broke.
The boats are hard enough to sail when everything's working, but you know it happens. Sometimes adversity comes your way, and it's about how you deal with it.
Does anyone know where we're finishing?
We want to beat them in 100% capability. We want to be ripping along and beat them by 1 second. That's our goal.
Australia, 3 from 3. Nice work, boys.
They've certainly laid a marker down for the final in Marseille.
At the end of the day, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot between the two of us. We'll still hang out and have a beer afterwards.
I think
the loser should buy.
Yeah, the loser should buy. The other one say congratulations, I think.
I figured we're going to enter and sort of sail past and then come flying back.
Nate's had quite a lot of time in these boats and he's pretty relaxed on the water. He's pretty level-headed, doesn't really show too much emotion. He's just a fierce competitor.
He's got a real natural ability to fly the boat nicely, and he's just a really good boat handler and really good at the speed skill side of things. And then he doesn't really have a weak area tactically as well, so just a good all-round sailor.
Nathan's a great natural leader. He knows that if we win, we all win together, and if we lose, we all lose together. And just that's because he's done so much, high-level sailing, and he's very graceful in defeat. And he knows that defeat is all a part about learning, and that's the best way to win.
Japan win here in New York City.
He likes feedback, and he's always critical of himself, and also kind of analysing where we can improve. I mean, he does that even after we've won.
He tries to be calm even after losing, but in reality, he off.
Tom Slingsby's always been incredibly competitive. He's a perfectionist as well, so when you get into one of these boats, he's always thinking of how to improve and how to take another step forward.
Big gust coming in 2, 1.
He's probably one of the most dedicated, most focused guys that I've come across. He's got the fire, but at the same time he's cool, calm and pretty collected.
He loves to win, and when you don't win, you can certainly you can see the other side of him. It's called the red mist if you haven't seen it yet. I kind of like it. It sort of keeps him fired up and keeps the boys a little rev up.
He can sometimes be the the personification of red mist.
You can see it's actually blunted at all. Yeah. He expects perfection, which is fine because we all expect a lot of ourselves. And I think when you have someone driving that, it keeps the team going well.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the boats warming up. So stow your tray tables, make sure your seatbelt is fastened. We are warming up for the championship final race. This is the climax of the SailGP inaugural season. We'll hand you over to our commentators for the last time, Shirley Robertson and Jody Shields.
We're just on board here now with the Japanese boat who have been foiling around trying to get used to this new racetrack. They've dragged the racetrack out further out in the bay where there is a little bit of wind, and we've had a delay. The race is not due to start to 15:40, so 3:40 local time at this stage. And Shirley, how's your nerves?
Is that a shallow water mark on our left? I was just trying to work that out. No, you're good, you're good.
So 7.5 minutes to go, Jody. I think we're seeing this delay because they're trying to get the spectator fleet to move over. The wind has shifted. They've had to change the access of the racetrack, and it's taking a little bit of time. Great to see these boats foiling. There was a moment there we thought this contest, this battle for the $1 million and this series would not happen.
Okay, going to come away here, guys. Don't worry about the hazard. 3:43. Am I right?
Absolutely, Shirley. We've got 7 minutes until the start of what will be the championship final race here in Marseille for season 1, 2019 of SailGP. And my heart is beating. I wonder what is happening on the Australians and the Japanese boat with these skippers. I'm guessing that they'll be fairly elevated at this stage.
I'm all the way up on the board, Ram. Is it clear to Lord for a job? I think. You go have a look if you want. Yeah, give me the wing sheet. My wing.
Nathan talking to
that's all.
Ian Jensen, his wingman.
Copy, good? Yeah, nice. Yeah, go board down. Going board.
It looks fast, Jody. That's what they see on board.
Looks like a lot of boats in the water. So
that looks fast in a car.
Yeah, you can imagine changing a racetrack's just not a matter of changing 4 buoys. We've got all the marks, we've got all the course, all the boundary marks, everything that we need to get around and get sorted. We're going to be racing in under 5 minutes.
To call the traffic.
And it has been a very intense little 15 minutes we've just gone through. From everybody involved, from the on-water comms to us. You hear Nathan saying we're not going to be able to race it here, so that's quite concerning.
I think we've got to get a jibe in here to get into the starting box.
They're worried about the traffic. You can see that. They are dodging spectators. It's so difficult to move that many boats in a short period of time. Very difficult.
And like we said, here's the heartbeat. So Nathan Outridge, 134. Tommy Slingsby, he's only just woken up. He's at 69. That's amazingly the big difference there. Nathan's been going down through the boat, so he's obviously
get inside of these boats if we can.
You can hear him whistling off the boats to try and get him out of the road.
Come up hard now through the gap. Yep.
So this is the problem. The problem is trying to get everyone off the racetrack. Come on, everyone get off the road. You want to see these two boats go head for head? Let's get into it.
You cannot separate these two boats, Jody. I mean, pick a favourite. It's absolutely impossible.
Okay, and then now down, maybe Caddy Lord wing sheet.
So as you said at the start, Australia coming in on the port hand entry, so they'll come in on the left-hand side. And then you'll see Japan coming on the right-hand side. Australia in 10 seconds early, which gives them a slight advantage, Shirley, to get into the box. But the fact is that there's 1,000 boats in the box. So there's nowhere for them to go. That's going to be a big concern for both skippers.
Yeah, staying 4:23, but it's not committed to our boat yet.
In some ways, though, Jody, it's the same for all of them. In a traditional match racing and that boat-on-boat scenario, quite often you can use spectator boats to, to shake the opposition off. So we may well see a bit of that. So the first boat to enter, as you say, will be Australia. They will enter at 2 minutes 10 to go. So they get a 10-second advantage, I guess, to get into that box. Less maneuvers, potentially. But giving all the spectator votes there, maybe
Could only be a minute.
maybe a lot more trouble.
I think I'd rather be later and stay away from all the boats. It looks like an absolute nightmare out there for these guys just to be able to decipher where they want to be. Never mind, they've got 10-foot dinghies and yachts and super yachts and cruisers and ferries around them. So they've got a lot to contend with, it, plus the fact they've got $1 million hanging straight over the top of their head for the win of this race. So
8 minutes 24 to start.
much to play for in the next 3 minutes.
Maybe
20.
we get, if the traffic's clearing, we could do a practice entry.
Australia, just to know we don't have any visual of the pre-start software. 1 minute. That's because there is 5.
So we've just had notification that there's been another 8 minutes postponement.
Delayed to start by another 5 minutes. Let's do it anyway. Let's go here anyway.
15:48.
Okay, so that's another 5 minutes. Australia.
40 seconds.
Got to watch all these boats, obviously.
Well, this race will happen. Jody, do not go away.
Every second.
I ain't going anywhere.
Do not go away. This race will happen. And if anything, the delay just adds to the tension, to the jeopardy of this sprint, of this 10-minute race that we are going to see.
20 seconds.
I think my heartbeat's running about 190 as well,
17,
so it's happening everywhere.
Don't worry about it, Kai. Copy. I'm just looking at the boundary. So we're going to hit the bottom.
So it looks like they're slowly but surely clearing these boats out of the road, Shirley. Ian Murray and Race Control have given them another 5 minutes to try and make this happen, which is great. It gives the competitors the best opportunity.
We're still 100 metres. Okay, we're going to turn up. We've got 7 minutes till start. Okay, turning up.
In this grand final, you know, the start
Gonna
could
tack
well
over in
be
this
everything.
spot.
You want to lead your opposition off the start, and in some ways, you know, try and slow them down as you sail off into the next puff of wind.
How are we looking for time there, Milky?
We've got 6:40.
So Milky there is Jason Waterhouse. That's his nickname on board. So he's the flight control. He's given the directions back to the skipper.
Gliding.
All the Aussies, of course, compulsory to have a nickname. He's named after the Milky Bar Kid.
VMG upwind at the moment in the water.
Those of you who are old enough to remember that
Happy for you to
advert.
come up. I think it's pretty clear.
Copy.
Locked at the moment, but we are going faster than them.
So we're coming into 6 minutes to go
Yep.
for the big championship final race here in Marseille.
Incoming.
Yep.
And it looks like that the box, or the starting area, is slowly but surely
Straight at
getting
Mark
cleared,
here.
Shirley. There's a lot of chop there from all the boats,
We
which
don't know.
won't normally affect them when they're up on the foil, but if they come off the foil, it could give them a little bit of a heartache to try and get back up and running again. Especially the Japanese who have to come in from that starboard side. They have to do one more
That's about max
job.
height, okay, for the rudders.
But if they're doing this speed, I don't think it's going to bother them
Start
at
to
all.
decrease the height a bit.
I have, mate.
Speed's good compared to them. Okay.
So we
Standing
haven't
by to
started
come away
racing,
into
but
an
we've
early
started
jibe.
racing, if that makes any sense at all.
Standing by jibe.
We're just
My wing, going
giving
forward.
each other a little bit of a who's faster, who's slower here. Mind game, Shirley?
Turning.
Or just having a little bit of a rundown.
My wheel.
I mean, you heard Nick Nitridge, the skipper of the Japanese boat, say, you know, speed good. He wanted to check in. Just they haven't had a lot of time to prepare in this fresh wind that's come in. So you want to check in your pace, see how you're getting on.
They've got the big boards on, we can't lose sight of that, the big boards and big jibs. So hopefully we'll get foiling in most conditions. We might see even a couple of foil jibes and a couple of foil tacks, which would be fantastic.
Should be coming pretty quick.
As they go towards the city boat, it's going to get a little bit lighter. So it'll be all about who's going to be able to negotiate that first jibe and then head on down to the bottom.
Right, so you can look around.
That's a good start. The first to the mark. Nathan Outridge has won twice. the race off the start line to that first mark, but you cannot separate these two. You cannot separate them.
You got it.
And will history repeat itself in Australia?
15.
In Australia, Sydney, Australia were on the port side. Japan were on the start, and Australia won that race. So once again here in New York, Australia on port, Japan starboard, but Japan turned the tide in New York. So
Leapfrogging it.
surely the data's not even giving us anything.
150 to...
I'm not going to ask you who your money's on. I'm not going to ask you who your money's on because I know it's just going to be too hard to pick between these two teams.
There has been so many variables, so much is changing all the time. They have not come out here with a game plan, with a formula. You know, they're just absolutely going to have to nail this on the seat of their pants, make split-second decisions. And this race will come down to winning the start and some tiny, tiny decisions. Both teams, absolute quality.
Oh, there's dead set quality amongst this whole fleet, let alone these two teams. And your point that you made is exactly right, Shirley. The 2 hours they've spent out here before the fleet racing today, they would have been doing recce runs, they would have been checking everything out and just getting all their systems worked out. We've now moved completely away from that area. We're out in a real choppy little area that could be affected a lot more by the land masses around them. So they are literally going to be coming into this final with no prep at all.
Sorry, we're going to have to postpone another 2 minutes. Start time will go to 15:50.
No urgency to get up now.
Close.
Do we want to stay away from these guys?
I think we just stay where we are and hopefully they all get out of our way.
We can't get the finish line there, so we will finish at the windward gate. So the course now becomes 5.
Well, the voice we were hearing there was race director Ian Murray. You could hear the frustration in his voice, trying to set the course quickly and also clear all the spectators, you know, from to the other side of the boundaries. But a 2-minute delay, so not long to wait until we see this grand final here in Marseille.
It's too long to wait. It's too long. I want it on now, Shirley. It's just the suspense is killing me. Now, as you can see there from that graphic, that's the starting box, obviously, but everything's so tight. They're having troubles trying to fit the start in, fit the box in, fit the finish line in. So we're going to have it's going to be very fluid and dynamic, this race, as it goes, because Ian Murray and the race director, you know, he's doing his best to make it fair for everybody.
Great pressure though, 11 knots, pretty steady all over the course. They will be flying.
Hopefully they will be flying just above the water. That's what we want them to see. 1.5 meters above and absolutely smoking it out between the two teams.
Yep, you've got 20 seconds here.
You know, as you said, Jody, they're on the big foil, small rudders, but big foils, which means, you know, they can really manoeuvre upwind, and we've seen a few in practice, a few foiling tacks. So, you know, it gives you the chance in a head-to-head like this to make a few more decisions, particularly on the upwind leg.
And just to add to the drama a little bit more, Shirley, the mechanics are on board, just checking out something with your board. So that's pretty handy with 2 minutes and 57 to go. But they don't seem too concerned.
What he did,
we've seen Rome Kirby and his crew snap it down at rope in the first race here in Marseille, which cost him two races, so we don't want any failures here.
Feels like the starting box software has this past all the spectators, so there's no boundary protection software, anything like that.
Yeah, copy
that. Okay, that was really nice on the reach, pace-wise, control-wise, but any higher and I'll lose a rudder. That's perfect.
Right on the edge, perfect.
He's
talking about the ride height. Luke Parkinson, he's the flight controller.
Go.
The higher you fly,
we're on here,
the faster you go, but the more risk.
210, we've actually entered.
We are starting to race. The Aussies have entered and the Japanese are still connected to their chase boat, so this could be quite interesting. They've got to get in and race. Will Tom Slingsby take advantage of this?
Okay, we are
going up.
Will he try and block him out, or will he just get into the box and get his nerves in? There's an early entry.
This is the umpires. This is the umpires. Penalty Australia, early entry. Penalty Australia, early entry.
So we just got to enter and we're all good.
Yeah, and stay clear of them. They're going to be coming back at us fast, right?
So that means big mistake by the Australian team. That means that they have to start behind Japan, behind the opposition. So massive error early on. Massive.
So all that advantage that they got from that port end side and all the lead up to the points has been nothing by about probably 1.5 to 2 seconds. So now the Australians, will they try and get a penalty on Japan to try and even it out? Or will Japan just sail straight away from them? I know what I'd be doing if I was Japan. I wouldn't go near them.
Going board.
advantage at this stage to Japan.
You got 55 seconds, Nate.
Yeah, but slingshot time on distance start above at the moment, okay, boys? Board up, please.
So you can just look at the heart rates on Slingsby.
Keep an eye on time, lads.
So we heard Nathan's voice, a slingshot approach, which means he's going to come from above with pace, cross that start line as fast as he can. The Australian team, though, looks slow.
The Australians cannot do anything. That's the problem. They've got a penalty. They can't attack. They can't put pressure on. So Nathan and his crew can just pull the trigger from wherever he likes. And if, as long as he nails that start line, it doesn't go over at the start, they can be going for it. So here we go. Japan's starting to wind up now from way at the very top of the box. 26, 27 knots. Remember, Australia have to start behind them. So will they play a little bit of cats and dogs, or will they just pull the trigger and go firing? I think they're going to pull the trigger and go firing, because here we go with 3 seconds to go. 2-1, the grand final is on, and it is Japan on the top end of the course, and Australia below. Japan doing a nice job there. Will they get across to the first mark in good spot?
Don't push it too hard.
Looks like the penalty is off for Australia, Shirley. So what do you think of that start?
Great start by the Aussies. I mean, they could not have managed that better. Absolutely at top speed crossing the line.
Yes, well done to both boats. We're only about 2 boat lengths apart. A little bit of wing wash coming on the Australians, but I don't think it's going to bother them that much. Japan through the first mark in first place. Will Australia jibe off early, or are they going to try and push them over? Looks like they're going to jibe off early. There goes the board down. Will Nathan Outridge, will he match that manoeuvre, or will he just try and sail his own race, Shirley?
Okay, standing by, my wing, going board.
He's taking his time, he's picking his moment, he's not being forced into making a decision.
Nice job there by Tom Slingsby and the Australian crew to get that jibe in. And it looks like they've got a nice bit of pressure down that mid-side. Japan are a little bit slow coming out of that jibe. You see them have to be a little bit higher in their bows to wind the boat up. In a minute they'll turn and roughly turn towards the same angle that Australia have done, but that was a great job there by the Australians to jibe early.
2, 1, lock, turning.
Australia now on starboard. They have all the rights until they get into the zone.
And Japan just sneaking over the front. Looks like Nathan's going to slam one right in front of his face just to make Tommy have to follow him in here to this bottom mark. And that was a nice, risky manoeuvre, but nice manoeuvre there by Japan. Good job by them.
Stand by. Keep the build on. Yeah, board down.
This race is so on, Jody. There's like a boat length between them.
Will we expect anything more from these two combatants? We knew this was going to happen. There's been talk about will they split, will they do their own thing? No way. This race is going to go right to the end. Good job attack there by the Australians, who have peeled out first, and hopefully, for their sake, getting over to this right-hand side to that little bit of pressure that's coming down the course. Will Nathan Outridge and his team of Japan go all the way to the boundary and just back himself? We'll soon see. Looks like they've gone a long way over there for the tack, Shirley.
No higher, no higher. All right.
You know, the Japanese are fast. They're good at maneuvers.
Stand by.
Australia look quite nice there. Japan just coming off that left-hand boundary. Australia's setting up for their tack now. If they're ever going to do a good foiling tack, now is the time to do it, because they need to nail this one and get up and going, which it looks like they've done. But Japan look great from that left-hand side at this stage.
Crossing quite easily.
Do you want to hit or not? All right.
I'm happy. We're not close. We're too close to hit. Just across.
Well, it's very, very close here, Nathan. Too close to hit him, which means he wants to tack on top of him. So the Australians, there's nothing in it. They're about that far apart at the bottom mark, and they're still the same distance after a big tack from both boats going to either side of the course. Now Australia heading over the left. Japan want to follow. That's pretty smart move by Nathan Outridge.
It could be a massive advantage to be the right-hand bow on the screen. You're on starboard, you've got all the rights.
And he looks quite nice there off his hips to the right-hand side. Looks like it's paid off there for Japan, because if Australia attack now, Japan might have pulled another couple of boat lengths out of them, unless they get a little left-hander, which Australia might be a little bit bowed down, so they might get something from the left here. Australia look like they look like they're about to get up, set up to go for attack. Kyle Langford got ready to jump up out of the cockpit. Tommy called him to come back down. So they're happy just to keep smoking on over this left-hand side of the course.
And be a gain for us?
Maybe make the lay line, Shirley.
I think we can. We're just going to watch the traffic.
Here they go, the Australians setting up now.
Speed build here. My wheel, call the exit angle. Yeah, we'll go left mark here. Closer mark.
This could be a massive gain for the Japanese team. They want to go to that left-hand side, and they have nailed that ley line to the left-hand mark.
There is still absolutely nothing. I'd call 2 boat lengths at best between these 2 boats, but like you said, Nathan Outridge and Co have already got around the top mark, and they are heading downhill. Another 10 knots quicker than what the Aussies are. The Aussies up now around the left-hand gate as we're looking at it. So big decision, big split decisions there between the 2 boats.
Long drive. Copy that.
Slingsby and the Australians done a right job first on that first downhill leg, so will it pay off again, Shirley?
Tom Slingsby very happy with his choice and with his speed, and we can see that. They're nearly 3 knots quicker than the Japanese.
This is the final downwind leg, so we're waiting all year for this, and we have got a couple of legs to go, and it is still nothing between these boats, which is exactly how we wanted it.
Waves here.
Tom Slingsby has not got a heartbeat according to that graphic. 73 beats per minute is pretty cool.
The Aussies have been faster all the way down here. This is neck and neck.
Japan look a little bit higher in the bows there. They're coming up. They're on a little bit of a lift coming up in towards the Aussies. So the Aussies will be taking a little bit of time out. Here comes the Aussies now setting up for their jibe.
My wheel. Okay.
All right.
Aussies on starboard, right of way boats. Must avoid the
Keep going hard
Japanese.
here.
It's almost like action replay of the first downhill.
We've got the inside, I think.
The
Go
distance
hard.
is exactly the same, but they've done a nice job there. Australians, will they be able to roll over the top of the Japanese and come into this zone first? Oh, is it? Oh, very, very close there. Australia, Japan tried to get up underneath the Australians and push them off. Not sure whether he had an overlap there. We'll soon see from the umpires.
Call it. It's not there. Lock now.
Australia done what we call an eagle. So 2 boards in, they had to get 2 boards to get down into the zone. Japan got really badly hurt out of that, Shirley.
Terrible, no boat speed. They went very aggressively to get the penalty and didn't get it.
And has that been the move, the $1 million move that lost him this race? We'll soon see. Very, very aggressive, as you said there, Shirley. He was trying to keep Tommy and the Australians out of that zone, but he pushed him up, didn't have the overlap, and Tommy had enough to just go around in front of him.
Little header here, slingers.
So we're on the final leg now of the championship race for the 2019 SailGP Grand Final, and it is the Australians, Tom Slingsby, leading the charge into this race. Got a couple of tacks to go. He's going over to possibly cover the Japanese, Shirley. How do they think they're going to come out of that other side?
How are we doing there, Milky? Have a look at him. Yeah, looking good.
They seem happy, the Australian team. They're looking good. They're confident that they're crossing.
Well, that move could come back to haunt Nathan Outridge. It looks like he'd get a little bit of breeze there, but the Australians look fantastic as well up on the left. There's about a 100-metre difference on the grids, but once they get to actually crossing, I think it's only going to be about 4 boat lengths at best. You reckon Australia would have slammed one straight on top of him, or will he go over and set himself up for the top mark? Remember, we're finishing at the top mark here. This is the final leg. We do not have a reach into the finish. They are finishing at the top mark.
Regardless, please disregard. We have been unable to move the finishing mark.
Have a look
at close. So close.
What's the mark here? Eagle, eagle, eagle.
No, we're good.
You hear him say eagle, 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 and Tommy says no, we're good. So what that means is Kyle was calling, do we need that unfurl down? Look how close that is.
Jarring. Copy.
Oh my God.
Nathan's mistake, though, Jody, was picking what turned out to be the wrong side at that top mark. He let the Australians take the right-hand side of the course. More pressure, more speed, and they came right back into the game.
And that's exactly what they did in that first lap, so I'm surprised they made the mistake twice, but we're not that far away from the finish. We've got a couple of 100 metres to go. Australia are leading the grand final here in Marseille. Tommy Slingsby would be very, very happy with where he's getting his boat up. Maybe one more tack to go, or will they make it down from there? It all started with a win in Sydney, then an emotional victory in San Francisco. They were beaten in New York. They dominated in Cowes. It's time to get up and party. Australia is the 2019 SailGP champion.
Well, Jody, I think their screams said it all. That means everything.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. You got to feel for these guys. Congratulations to the Japanese for getting in the final. But Australia has been the most dominant boat all year. And they deserve it, Shirley. They deserve it. Look at the emotion on board, as you can imagine.
What a roller coaster. Massive mistake entering early. Such an unforced error. But they never gave up. They never gave up.
Well, if that doesn't make your heart beat, you're not human. That was insane.
My thoughts, though, to Nathan Outridge and his team. You can see how despondent he is. Aggressive. What an aggressive move.
Absolutely aggressive, and it was an all or nothing play, really. When you think about it, he had the lead, and he was trying to stop Tommy getting into that zone. In hindsight, would it be better just to keep the hammer on and get in there and then try and control? We'll never ever know. We'll never know.
He knows.
And then we,
how did they bridge the gap?
He knows.
They had better pressure on that side, and there was light in the middle.
After the build-up, after the no race, we thought we weren't going to have a race. The wind was too low. The SailGP season 2019 has finished exactly the way we wanted it, on the water and with a fantastic race.
Look at this team. I mean, such a class act, and great mates as well. Done so much sailing together. They could not be happier.
Absolutely, and you know they had virus go through. Kyle Langford had a virus, couldn't sail for the first few days. You know, they've had a fair few dramas to contend with leading up to this to today, Shirley. As you would imagine, if it was all going smooth, you'd probably be very nervous. But they've taken every single issue that was put in front of them. They've dealt with it, and now they got the spoils of victory. Well done to them.
What a race. I mean, two of the most tactically smart teams head to head. And it came down to one move in the end.
You can almost see relief on their faces. Look at Jason Waterhouse in the middle there. Kyle Langford's they're just taking it in now. They've just realised that they've just won it, you know, and in contrast, we have the Japanese who are, look at them, they're shattered.
Difficult days like this. Hard to know what to say to your crew. I mean, we've all been in those scenarios. So difficult. Everyone knows where the mistakes were made.
Yeah, well, there's not much you can say. I guess you just got to take it in and move on. Tomorrow is another day. We know that. But all the focus has been on today. But these Australians, they are going to party like Australians do. Look out, Marseille. It is going to be fun there tonight. See Russell Coots there, the CEO and the brains behind this SailGP, just handing the trophy over to Tom Slingsby and his crew. A little bit unstable on the boat. The boat's doing a bit of a washing machine in behind him there, so you can understand why it's so hard to get your footing. But there it is. Australia, Tommy Slingsby raises the trophy and just gets absolutely hosed down by the Champagne Boys crew, Shirley.
Tom Slingsby, he's won an Olympic gold medal and an America's Cup trophy. But this moment is hard to beat.
Here he goes. Drinking from the biggest cup he's ever drunk from. How good does that taste, Tommy Slingsby? There they go. They're all filling it up now. Sammy Newton there just having a guzzle and a bit of a shower. Kai Hurst, the Iron Man. He's having a bit of a go too. He's the Milky Way kid. Jason Waterhouse, they're all having a bit of a go. Kyle Langford hasn't had a crack yet. We haven't seen Kyle have a drink out of it. He's got the Aussie flag in hand. What do you think they're feeling, Shirley?
I think a massive sense of relief. So much tension on today, only made worse by all the waiting for the wind. But, having to perform like that after all that time waiting around, I mean, that just smacks of a real champion, of a real class act, of a real performer.
Absolutely, and there'll be 6 very proud Aussies holding up the Australian flag there. So, Shirley, it was everything. That was fantastic. The racing that we just experienced, I cannot wait to experience that again. That was amazing.
We knew this.
So absolute elation, pure joy on the face of Tom Slingsby, Kyle Langford, Jason Waterhouse, Sam Newton, Kinley Fowler and Kai Hurst. The Australians have prevailed here, and you can see just how much it means to them. A phenomenal race as well. Matt, Jan, there was so much pressure, so much expectation resting on this championship final, and yet it still delivered.
It really did, and the pressure showed right at the start with an unforced error, uncharacteristically from Slingsby and the Australians entering early there, and that put them in a really difficult position from then on. And the whole race, let's face it, the whole race came down to that little moment with the Japanese luffed, and I reckon there was 4 inches in their tops, and if they'd have hit them there, that would have given the Australians a penalty for not keeping clear. The fact that they just missed them, that was the whole race right there.
But how many times have we seen crosses like that between Australia and Japan in this season, Jan?
I think it was the perfect setting for the final, and it was maybe one of the closest crossing we've seen ever during the race. And it just shows how precise they can be and how they were focused. And for sure, after the earlier start, it's a great achievement. And the tactic on the board, we just saw the images. It was so close, so stressful.
Watching 2 of the world's best sailors like this, operating in boats like this, it's an absolute pleasure, isn't it?
It is. The whole year's been a real pleasure, especially with these 2, because they've been performing so well all year. A masterclass in how to sail hydrofoiling catamaran yachts with wing sails. These boats, I don't think we've managed to get across how hard these boats are to sail. They're really, really challenging, and I think that's why we've seen the other teams that have a brilliant set of sailors. All of them have a great team of sailors on there, but don't quite have the same experience. That's why they don't find it quite as easy, and these other 2 are that much further ahead.
Well, we've seen no shortage of Australian fans on both the shore and the water, and you can see the flotilla gathering around the Australian F50 there as they come to congratulate them on an incredible inaugural season on SailGP. And we talked about it before the race, but Australia have already committed the prize money to reinvest it and see this boat do even better, become even more dominant. That's an incredible statement of intent.
And a bit of a worry for the other teams, I would say. They've already got a £1 million injection into next year, and they've really earned it this year. And the thing I like about it is the fact that they're all Australian too. And it's great that we have the emerging nations coming through, and they're able to bring in a bit more experience to help them out, and that will change as time goes on. The Japanese team will become more Chinese, likewise. The Japanese team will become more Japanese, likewise the Chinese. But I think it's great to see a real, one of the nations where everyone on board is from that nation. I really like that.
Okay, let's take a look at the overall championship leaderboard after that championship final race. These are the scores after the season. Australia finish in first place, dominant from start to finish. Nathan Outridge and Japan will have to come back for redemption next year. Phil Robertson drags China into third. Great Britain, France and the United States round out a phenomenal first season of action. We'll see you in Sydney on February the 28th.
The inaugural race of SailGP. Slingsby and Outridge racing each other since teenage years. And it is the Aussies dominating down under.
Golden Gate Bridge in the background, 6 F50s at over 35 knots. Oh, it's very close to contact.
I don't care if he's a metre away, we're not backing down.
The race for $1 million has come to New York City.
New York was everything we're expecting. Plenty of wind, plenty of current, plenty of action.
GBR's capsized. I'll back us any day of the week at 100% over his 100%.
What we are watching is a masterclass in how to sail.
Event number 4 here in Cowes. These guys are just in complete survival mode. Oh, the USA are in. Great Britain put the bow in massive. Awesome job. It's time to get up and party. Australia is the 2019 SailGP champion.